Boys, are we calling it a miraculous Heat win, an epic Bucks collapse, all of the above? My goodness, Eric, what a night at the arena.
I mean, I think it has to be one of the more unbelievable performances I've ever seen. And I mean, obviously, Sam, we covered the Bucks championship run together in 2021. I saw some pretty unbelievable things in all of those games. I saw Kevin Durant go for 50. I saw Giannis go for 50. Um, I mean, Jimmy Butler going for 56 last night. I'm still struggling for the words because it's not like the Bucks are a bad defensive team. Uh, they're
That's quite the understatement.
they're very good.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday, just in our anonymous player poll, was overwhelmingly named the best defensive player in the NBA.
Yep.
Overwhelming. Brooke Lopez
Breach.
just finished in the top three of defensive player of the year. Giannis Antetokounmpo, former Defense Player of the Year. I know limited injuries, I get it, but still, that's a lot of really good defensive players. And I know some Bucks fans will say like, "Oh, well, the first couple games they were letting Jimmy Butler shoot practice threes and all that stuff." That wasn't the case last night. They let Drew Holiday do everything that Drew Holiday likes to do. If he wanted to pressure Jimmy full court, he could. If he wanted to go over the top of screens, if he wanted to try to go for strips, if he wanted to switch, he could, all of those things. And
Unleashed.
it did not matter. It did
Right.
not matter at all. Jimmy Butler had buckets for everybody. He had buckets for Giannis in the first quarter. He had buckets for Chris Middleton. He had buckets for Brooke Lopez. He had buckets for Drew. Like it was truly just an unbelievable performance. And obviously, you're looking at what was. I'm not. It's not a must win until you actually have to win in my book. But man, if that wasn't a must win, that's about as close as it could have been. Now the Bucks down 3-1 heading back to Milwaukee. They do have 5-7 at home, but man, you can't feel real great about what the Bucks are doing right now because they just don't have an answer for Jimmy Butler.
Slater,
There
real
were
quick
two. There
before you
were
before you jump in, Slater.
yeah.
Sorry. Quick preview for the rest of the show. We are gonna dive into Lakers Grizzlies and then focus on Warriors Kings. That De'Aaron Fox news with his hand is obviously a very big deal. Those three series, I think, are going to be front and center. We might have another special guest on the back end of the pod. That's what's coming after this robust Heat Bucks discussion. Slater, go.
There were just two moments during the game from my living room. I was like declaring it over, right? It was 15-5 early. Giannis has that memory. I think it was on Strus, just like spin dunk. And then I think he had another quick and one. And I was like, okay, he's back. Not only does this game feel over at 15-5, the series kind of feels over in some ways. And then that's when Butler kind of announced himself in the game, right? What did he have? 22 first quarter points, I think it was. When he had that drive and dunk on Giannis, you're just like, okay, that this Butler showed up tonight. And then he does that first quarter, he keeps it a game. But then again, what was it? End of the third, it was like 11. I had something I needed to do, but I was like, can I declare this over? I want to see Lakers Grizzlies. Do I have to watch this fourth quarter? And then there was that sequence. Caleb Martin, I thought was really big during that little stretch too. But also when Butler hit the two straight threes, and what did that get him up to 50 at that point? I think that one was like, oh, okay, this is going to get real tight for the Bucks down the stretch. And then obviously what happened.
Listen, man, this version of Jimmy Butler is wild. It's just wild. Like it gave me bubble flashbacks. It's funny, and I'm gonna do, we all like it when we get so many predictions wrong. It's fun when you get something right. So this is the part of the program that Slater sees coming, where I'm coming down his road.
It took 5 minutes. That's actually longer than I thought it was going to take.
5 minutes.
Sam gets to take his victory lap. Wow,
Eric,
he
like
was
I said on the
I said on
the pod before, like I just have it imprinted on me from the bubble, as you know, that like that Bucks team was incredibly shook by Jimmy and the Heat. And there was a personal component. And for me, it's weird because I've enjoyed covering Giannis so much. But the arc of like one of his lower moments, when not only are you losing to the Heat in the bubble, but you are getting serious scrutiny when it comes to the question of why you won't guard him in key moments during the game. And I remember sitting, one of my favorite interviews in the bubble, sitting with Jimmy Butler at practice and getting a chance to ask him very directly, were you surprised that Giannis wasn't guarding you. And Jimmy's doing that thing that he masters, which is he doesn't really throw shade at people, but he just very kind of passive aggressively, puts all the scrutiny even more in their direction. So Jimmy was, just living rent free in the Bucks heads back then. And I know this is a different Bucks group. They won a championship. They grew up. They eclipsed all those moments.
Also destroyed Jimmy Butler. Destroyed
Yes.
in 2021.
Yes. Which is why on this pod, Mr. Katz and Mr. Slater thought I was crazy for thinking Jimmy still had that in him. We'll see if they finish it. I'm going to now make the mistake of not respecting the Heat enough. If we're handicapping all of these, as we talked today, there's 3 games tonight that are 3-1 series. So of all these 3-1 series, I think a lot of folks might look at Heat Bucks and say, if any team can win 3 games in a row, it's Milwaukee. Again, especially with home court. The numbers on that doesn't matter that much, but we've heard the stat about 95% of the teams that go up 3-1 win the series. Apparently that goes down a little bit if you have home court to 89%. Odds are mildly better, but the Jimmy experience is just fun, man. It is. It's fun. Like, he's not that guy all the way through the regular season. The playoff Jimmy thing that he pushes back against is very real. And he's pretty damn good in the regular season too. But it was wild to watch.